I said this to you before we started filming, but it felt refreshing to turn on the TV and see your face.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I gotta say this, man, I've been in relationships and met with, been good relationships. I'm not taking away from anything, anybody I've, dated before. But more than anything is relating on just values and respect and consideration and being a good human being. And this era I could see me feeling that. And I still have to say, how did I not know I had a picture with Destiny's Child?
Jennifer Hudson may have just found herself in the middle of a Hollywood plot twist she didn't see coming. And the man at the center of it? Common, the charming, poetic rapper turned actor who's managed to build a career on smooth words and soulful charisma. Just days ago, Common was smiling into cameras, speaking like a man completely in love. He called his relationship with Jennifer one of the greatest blessings of his entire life. Not just his career, not just his recent years, his life. He spoke about their life partnership and deep connection, and how he never truly understood the meaning of a real relationship until he was with her. It sounded like something pulled straight from a romance novel. But fast forward, and the mood has shifted dramatically, because now rumors are swirling that Common has already moved on to someone new, and that Jennifer, who was once being praised as the love of his life, might have been blindsided by the change. How do you go from calling someone your greatest blessing to allegedly entertaining someone else in a matter of days? The internet is buzzing with theories. Some say this is just another chapter in Common's long history of whirlwind romances that end before anyone sees it coming. Others are whispering about a deeper, messier truth, one that might explain why no relationship of his has ever truly stuck. And if you know Common's dating history, you know that's not an exaggeration. This is a man whose past reads like a Hollywood Hall of Fame lineup. Serena Williams, Taraji P. Henson, Tiffany Haddish, Erykah Badu, Angela Rye, a list so high profile it could be its own red carpet event. Yet none of these relationships lasted, not one. Some women walked away quietly. Others hinted at deeper issues. And Common himself, he's admitted on the record that he has a problem. He once told a therapist he was addicted to the honeymoon phase of relationships, that electric rush you get when everything is new and exciting, the stolen glances, the first laughs, the constant texts. He said he loved that feeling so much, he'd chase it over and over again until it faded. And when it did, he'd start feeling restless, disconnected, ready for the next thrill. It's a pattern he's openly acknowledged, and it's one that explains a lot. So maybe the real question here isn't, why did this happen to Jennifer? Maybe it's, why did she believe she could be the one to break the cycle? Because if you ask those closest to Common, they'll tell you the man is as smooth as they come. But commitment? That's never been his strong suit. Still, for a while, it seemed like Jennifer might have been the exception. She's smart, grounded, successful, and carries herself with a quiet confidence that makes her stand out in an industry full of noise. But then came the rumor that may have changed everything. The proposal that never happened, or rather, the proposal that was never accepted. And that's when the story takes a turn from romantic to complicated. The story goes that last year, Common had something big planned for Jennifer Hudson, something that, on paper, should have been the ultimate relationship milestone, a proposal. For fans, the idea made perfect sense. They'd been photographed smiling together at events, supporting each other's work, looking, at least from the outside, like a couple with real staying power. Common had spoken in interviews about growth, about being ready for deeper commitment, about how Jennifer was different from anyone he'd ever been with before. So when whispers of an engagement plan started floating around, people were ready to hear wedding bells. But according to multiple sources close to the situation, Jennifer wasn't ready to say yes, and she had her reasons. First, there was the obvious. Common's history with women. This wasn't a man with one or two exes. This was someone who'd been linked to a string of high-profile relationships each one ending with the same quiet fade out. Jennifer had to be asking herself, if so many incredible women before her couldn't make it work, what would make her any different? Then there was her own past. Jennifer had been through a long, messy, and very public breakup with David Otunga, a relationship that had its fair share of drama, legal filings, and painful headlines. That experience left scars, and those close to her say she swore she'd never be rushed into marriage again. To her, agreeing to marry Common wasn't just about love. It was about gambling with her peace. And for someone who'd fought hard to rebuild her life after past heartbreak, that wasn't a bet she was ready to take. Now, Common didn't take the rejection as a simple no. Sources say he tried to reassure her, telling her he'd changed, that therapy had helped him, that he was ready for the long haul. But Jennifer stood her ground, and that's when things started to shift. Because not long after, the tone of the rumors changed. People began saying Common wasn't speaking as glowingly about Jennifer behind closed doors. Some even claimed he was confiding in friends about frustrations, and that his words weren't exactly flattering. Then came the more damaging whispers, allegations that Common might have been spending time with other women, even as he and Jennifer were still together. Nothing concrete, but enough small sightings and unconfirmed reports to get the internet talking. And just when the story seemed like it might blow over, an old name reappeared. Jaguar Wright. Jaguar has a history of throwing verbal grenades into the entertainment world, and this time, she reignited years-old rumors about Common's personal life. She claimed he uses women for clout, doesn't truly love black women, and that every woman who's been with him knows there's more to his story than meets the eye. Her most eyebrow-raising claim? That Common might not actually be attracted to women in the way the public assumes. And suddenly, people were remembering small details they'd brushed off before, like how none of Common's exes have ever publicly spoken about his performance in the bedroom. To some, that meant nothing. To others, it felt pointed. It was all still just gossip, until one story, told by someone claiming to have witnessed it firsthand, gave the speculation a whole new level of weight. And it happened at a Hollywood event most people didn't even know Common had attended. The first-hand story goes like this. A man, not in the entertainment industry himself, but married to someone who is, attended a Hollywood event last summer. His wife was working that night, mingling, networking, making connections. Common was there too, and at some point in the evening, the man says Common struck up a conversation with him. Now, at first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Common's always been known for his warmth, his ability to connect, and his easygoing charm. But as the night went on, the man noticed something. Common's attention was locked entirely on him. Not just small talk, not just casual chit-chat, but a focused, sustained conversation that lasted almost an hour. And here's where things took a turn. According to the man, when the event wound down and the clock was pushing past 3 a.m., his phone buzzed with a text from his wife. "Come outside." He started making his way to the exit, but not before Common allegedly leaned in and asked him, "So, what are you doing later tonight?" The man replied, "Going home with my wife." He laughed it off, but later told friends that the tone, the timing, and the way it was said left no room for misunderstanding. Now, is this proof of anything? No, but in the court of public opinion, especially when there are already rumors swirling, stories like this hit differently. And that's when a whole new angle started to form. Some speculated that Common might be grappling with his own identity, possibly shaped by alleged trauma earlier in life. Whispers that he'd once been taken advantage of by a man, which could have complicated his relationships with women ever since. But here's where things get even messier. What if Jennifer Hudson isn't just an innocent bystander in all this? Because her romantic history isn't exactly without controversy. Her relationship with David Otunga started like a fairy tale, but ended in headlines that read like courtroom drama. There were allegations she'd been unfaithful with music producer Molly Music. There were restraining orders, police involvement, and dueling claims about who was the real victim. Jennifer alleged that David had been controlling, jealous, and even had their young son attempt to check up on her during a late-night studio session. David, for his part, said Jennifer was lying and that she was using her influence in the industry to make him look like the bad guy. He even claimed that while she painted herself as the primary caregiver, he'd actually been the one raising their child day to day while she was touring. The legal battle ended with Jennifer dropping her order of protection under the condition David would never return to her property, but the damage was already done. By then, the public had seen a side of her they'd never associated with the polished, powerhouse singer from Dreamgirls. So when people heard that Common might have walked away not just because of his own patterns, but because he saw that same side of Jennifer, the story started to shift. Some insiders even claimed Jennifer had begun to see herself as the bigger star, the higher earner, and that it created an unspoken tension between them. If true, that kind of ego clash can be deadly in a relationship, especially one already under the microscope. And now, we're left with a whole lot of questions and not a lot of answers. So, have they officially broken up? Was Common really stepping out, or was this all just a web of overblown gossip? Is Jennifer just unlucky in love, or is there a pattern in her relationships too? The truth is, nobody outside their closest circles knows for sure. What we do know is this: their public appearances together have slowed to a trickle. Jennifer's social media has been peppered with cryptic, self-reflective posts. And Common? Well, he's keeping things vague as always. On one hand, they're still together, quietly patching things up behind closed doors. On the other, the split already happened, and they're just not ready to let the world in on it. Or maybe, and this is Hollywood after all, we're watching the setup for a plot twist no one sees coming. One thing's certain: when the truth finally breaks, it could dominate headlines as the breakup of the year. Now I've got to ask, what's your read on Common and Jennifer Hudson's story? Be sure to drop it in the comments. And if you live for the stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know, make sure to hit like and subscribe and keep your seat, because the next twist is coming fast. See you in the next one.